Ladies and gentlemen, today I stand before you not just to speak, but to stir something deep within your soul. You know it. That quiet voice that whispers later when you know the time is now. That weight in your chest when you push your purpose aside for comfort. Procrastination isn't just a bad habit. It's a silent thief. It steals your dreams, your potential, your destiny. And unless we rise, unless we take a stand against it, we may one day wake up wondering where our time, our chances, and our greatness went. But I believe in something greater inside you. A fire, a drive, a will to overcome. Today isn't about shame. It's about awakening. It's about killing the lie that you are not ready, not strong enough, not worthy of progress. Because the truth is, the power to break free is already in your hands. And today, we're going to unleash it. There comes a moment in every life when the weight of delay becomes too heavy to carry. You feel it pressing on your chest when you wake up in the morning. You sense it lurking in the corners of every goal you've postponed, every dream you've shelved, every idea you've let slip by. Procrastination is not simply waiting. It is a slow drift away from your calling, your purpose, your reason for being. And yet within that struggle, within that tension, there lies a mighty force, personal power just waiting to be awakened. Procrastination begins with a whisper, not now, maybe later, when you're ready. And slowly over time, those whispers grow into walls. We don't notice how the days blur into weeks, the weeks into months, and suddenly we look up and wonder what happened to our momentum, what happened to our drive. But hear me when I say this. Delay is not your identity. It may have been your pattern, but it is not your purpose. You were not made to sit in neutral. You were created with a gear for greatness, and it is time to shift. That shift doesn't happen through wishful thinking or empty motivation. It begins with truth. The truth that fear often dresses up as procrastination. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of not being enough. But fear is a liar, and it loses all its power the moment you move. Just one step, one action, one choice to rise when your mind says wait. That's where the transformation begins. That's where delay starts to lose its grip. You see, drive isn't something you find. It's something you decide. It's not a gift for the lucky or the talented. It is the choice to stop letting your future be held hostage by your feelings. There will never be a perfect day, never a perfect mood, never a perfect plan. But there is a perfect moment. And that moment is now. When you say yes to movement, even if it's messy, even if it's unsure, you begin to reclaim your power. You begin to stand in who you were born to be. We often think power comes from doing big things, from launching companies, writing books, building empires. But the truth is, power is built in the small decisions. Waking up early when you want to sleep, writing the first sentence when you feel stuck, making the call when you fear rejection. Each of those small victories builds the muscle of discipline. And discipline, my friend, is the engine of your drive. Not passion, not excitement, but discipline. The quiet commitment to keep going, keep building, keep pushing, even when nobody claps, even when nobody sees. And when you start showing up like that, something begins to shift inside. The excuses grow quiet, the doubts shrink, the momentum builds. You begin to feel a current inside you, a rising force that says I was made for more than delay. I was made to act, to create, to lead. That is your drive waking up. That is your power coming alive. Some of you have been sitting on ideas for years, dreams you buried, because life got loud, responsibilities took over, fear crept in. But hear me, it is never too late to turn delay into drive. It is never too late to resurrect what you thought was gone. There is still breath in your lungs, still time on the clock, still a fire in your soul, and all it takes is one decision, one moment of courage, one act of obedience to your calling. And when that decision is made, when you trade excuses for execution, you will find a strength you didn't know you had. You will see doors open that were always waiting for your step. You will discover that the very thing you feared, the work, the struggle, the risk, was the very path to your freedom. Because nothing liberates you like living on purpose. Nothing fuels your spirit like following through. Nothing restores your confidence like seeing the results of your own discipline. You were not created to live in delay. You were not built for comfort zones. You were crafted by the hands of greatness, molded by experience, and destined for movement. There's a race to run, a fight to win, a purpose to fulfill, and procrastination has no place in that story. Today you stop waiting. Today you stop apologizing for not being ready. You stand, you move, you act, because from delay to drive is not just a journey. It is a decision that starts now, and once you make it, once you feel that momentum rising, there is no turning back, because you have tasted what it feels like to live free from excuses. You have seen what happens when your actions align with your purpose, and you will never again be satisfied with standing still. You will rise each day with a fire in your bones, knowing that your power is not in some distant tomorrow, but in the choice you make today, the choice to move, the choice to act, the choice to live driven and not delayed, the choice to kill procrastination, not just for now, but once and for all, because your life was never meant to be a waiting room. It was meant to be a battlefield, a building site, a canvas of courage, where every action writes a new line of your story, and every step forward silences the voice of delay until all that's left is the sound of your destiny, taking shape under the weight of your own determination, and no one, nothing can take that from you. Once you've claimed it with your will, your work, your unwavering belief in who you were meant to become, and how far you can go when you refuse to wait any longer. There is something sacred about the moment called today. It is not ordinary. It is not common. It is a gift that too many overlook while reaching for the distant promise of tomorrow. We tell ourselves that change will come, that discipline will show up, that doors will open, but not now, tomorrow, and then tomorrow comes and goes, just like the one before it, and the one before that. Before long we are caught in a cycle of delay, convincing ourselves that later is good enough, that we'll take the step when we feel stronger, when life is quieter, when conditions are perfect. But deep down we know the truth. Tomorrow is the lie that steals your destiny. Today is the only weapon you have to fight for your future. You were not made to drift in the sea of someday. You were made to anchor your soul in this moment, and say, this is the day I begin. This is the hour I stop circling the mountain of hesitation. This is the time I silence the voice that says wait. The world will not pause for your fears. Opportunities will not wait for your comfort. Purpose will not delay itself until you feel ready. And that is why you must master the art of taking action today. Because every dream that's been given to you, every vision that's been placed in your heart, is crying out for your movement now. There are those who think greatness is about talent. But talent without action is a tree without roots. It looks strong from afar, but when the storms of life come, it falls. Real power, real strength comes from doing the thing again and again, even when you're tired, even when you're scared, even when it feels like no one sees. That's what taking action today means. It means choosing progress over perfection. It means writing the page even when the words feel clumsy, making the call even when your voice shakes, showing up even when your knees tremble. Because it's not about being fearless. It's about being faithful. Some of you are carrying dreams that have gathered dust, ideas that once set your heart on fire, but are now buried under fear, under doubt, under delay. And you wonder if it's too late. You wonder if you missed your moment. Let me tell you, as long as you are breathing, it is not too late. As long as the sun still rises, you still have time, but not time to waste, time to act, time to build, time to stand. What matters is not what you haven't done in the past. It's what you decide to do with the time you have left. And you do have time, but not a second of it should be spent waiting for the perfect feeling, or the right circumstance, because the perfect moment is never coming. You must create it by stepping into the one you already have. When you live with the urgency of today, your life begins to change. You stop negotiating with fear. You stop tolerating the voice that tells you to shrink. You begin to walk like someone who knows the clock is ticking, not in panic but in purpose. Every day becomes an opportunity to honor the gift of your breath, your mind, your strength. Every hour becomes sacred. Every moment becomes a chance to move closer to the person you were always meant to be. There is nothing more dangerous than a person who lives with intention, nothing more unstoppable than a soul who has decided that today is not just another day. It is the day. Taking action today doesn't mean doing it all. It means doing something. It means planting the seed, even if you don't yet see the tree. It means sending the email, making the list, finishing the task. It's about becoming the kind of person who doesn't wait for lightning to strike, but lights the fire with their own hands. And in doing so, you start to shift the way you see yourself. You stop seeing yourself as someone who tries and fails, and starts over again and again. You start seeing yourself as someone who finishes, who follows through, who rises, not once, not twice, but as many times as it takes to make their life count. Do not let the lie of tomorrow rob you of the breakthrough that's possible today. There is too much in you to keep it locked behind hesitation. The world is waiting for your gifts. Your family is waiting for your leadership. Your future is waiting for your courage. But none of it will show up until you do, until you choose to be the person who acts now, not later, who moves when others sit, who builds while others plan, who does not wait for the right time but makes time right by doing the right thing. You may feel small, you may feel weak, but the smallest seed still carries the power to become a mighty tree if it is planted. The most broken vessel can still carry light, if it is willing to shine. And your action, no matter how small it feels, is not wasted. Every act of effort compounds. Every disciplined choice adds up. And soon the momentum builds. You begin to see the fruit of your labor. The confidence grows. The vision becomes clear. Not because the road got easier, but because you got stronger by taking the first step and then the next, and then the next. And soon you are no longer the person who hopes but the person who does. No longer the one who dreams, but the one who builds. No longer the one who plans to start tomorrow, but the one who starts now. And that transformation becomes permanent. You stop waiting. You start living. You stop circling the mountain, and you start climbing. And with every step you rise. With every move, you become more than you thought possible. Not because of one giant leap, but because of the decision to say yes to this day, this moment, this calling that refuses to wait for another tomorrow. Because today is where the fire is. Today is where your faith is tested and proven. Today is where the chains of delay are broken, and your purpose steps into the light, fully alive, fully awake, fully unstoppable, and nothing, no fear, no doubt, no voice of delay can silence the soul that has learned to move. Now live now, act now, because the art of taking action today is the art of becoming who you were always meant to be. Every man's life where he must confront the voice that whispers excuses. That voice is subtle, patient and persuasive. It tells you you're tired. It tells you it's not the right time. It says someone else could do it better. It reminds you of your failures, your fears, your insecurities. And if you're not careful, if you're not grounded, if you're not alert, that voice will become your master. It will sit on the throne of your choices. It will rule your time, dictate your habits, and rob you of your destiny. But hear me, there is a greater voice inside you, a voice not of excuses, but of excellence, not of delay, but of dominion. And that voice is ready to rise. Today is not the day for negotiation. Today is the day to crush every excuse that's held you back and step fully into the power of disciplined action. You don't need another chance. You need to take the one you already have. You don't need a miracle. You need a made-up mind. You don't need perfect conditions. You need a courageous decision. The excuses you've carried are not facts. They are stories. Stories you've rehearsed so many times. They've become part of your identity. But your identity is not in your history. It is in your choices. And when you choose to stop living in the prison of excuses, you discover something liberating. You always had the key. The blueprint for beating procrastination forever is not written in mystery. It's written in your daily decisions. Small, quiet decisions. When the alarm goes off and you rise. When the task feels boring, and you do it anyway. When your emotions scream not now, and you say now. This is where greatness is born. Not in moments of inspiration, but in moments of discipline. And it starts with the refusal to give your excuses another inch of ground. They have taken enough. They have stolen your energy, your progress, your confidence. Now it's time to take it back. And don't tell me you can't, because the very breath in your lungs is proof that you can. You have been created with the power to choose, to rise, to grow, to change, and no excuse, no matter how comfortable or logical it may sound, has the authority to override the strength God placed inside you. You were made for victory, not for passivity, for progress, not for postponement. And when you begin to walk in that truth, your life starts to shift. What does crushing excuses look like in real life? It looks like waking up with purpose. It looks like finishing what you start. It looks like getting up when you fall, again and again. It's not glamorous, and it's not always loud, but it is powerful. It's powerful because each small act of obedience silences the voice of delay. Each step forward turns the volume down on fear. Each moment of follow-through becomes a brick in the foundation of a life that cannot be moved. Excuses are not just bad habits. They are agreements you've made with fear. And to break them, you must break the agreement. You must stand in your truth and say, I am not what I feel. I am what I do. I am not what I fear. I am what I overcome. And you begin to see excuses for what they are. Lies dressed in comfort. Traps hidden in good intentions. And you stop partnering with them. You stop giving them power. You stop making room for them at your table. Because there is no room for compromise when purpose is at stake. No room for laziness when lives are waiting on your obedience. No room for excuses when your calling demands action. You don't overcome procrastination with motivation. You overcome it with mission. When your why becomes bigger than your excuse, your action becomes unstoppable. And make no mistake, your life matters. Your gifts matter. What you bring to the world cannot be duplicated. And every time you procrastinate, you delay a gift someone else is waiting for. You delay healing. You delay hope. You delay transformation. Not just for you, but for those your life will touch. And so you must decide, will I protect my excuses, or will I protect my purpose? You've tried waiting. You've tried wishing. You've tried hoping things would get easier. But now it's time to try something different. Try showing up even when you're tired. Try trusting the process even when you can't see the finish line. Try doing the work even when you don't feel like it. Because the reward is not in the feeling. It's in the faithfulness. The breakthrough doesn't come to those who wait passively. It comes to those who act persistently. Who wake up daily and declare, I will no longer serve fear. I will no longer bow to excuses. I will no longer shrink from the weight of responsibility. I was made for more than this. I was made to lead, to love, to build, to finish what I start. The path is not easy. You will have days where the old excuses come knocking. Days where your mind wants to slip back into comfort. But comfort is not your home. Comfort is the enemy of your calling. And if you're going to live a life that counts, you must be willing to get uncomfortable, to take the hard road, to choose discipline, when everyone else is choosing distraction. That's how you build a legacy. That's how you write a story worth telling. Not by doing what's easy, but by doing what's right. And you will find, as you walk this path, that strength begins to rise. Momentum begins to grow. Your confidence begins to return. Not because circumstances change, but because you change. You become the kind of person who follows through, who finishes, who shows up. And when others are drowning in delay, you are soaring in purpose, not because of one giant leap, but because of countless small steps taken in the face of fear. So I ask you now, what excuse do you need to crush today? What lie needs to be silenced? What action needs to be taken? The time for delay is over. The time for half-hearted effort is gone. Now is the time for clarity, for commitment, for courage. Because the blueprint is not out there. It's in you. It's in your choices, in your values, in your actions. You were never meant to be ruled by procrastination. You were meant to rule over it with resolve, with vision, with fire in your soul, and purpose in your steps, and no excuse left standing between you and the life you were born to live. And now the only thing that remains is the decision to rise today, not tomorrow, not next week, not when the mood is right, but now, because your time is too precious, your calling too great, your life too meaningful to keep it on hold for another minute, and every second you walk forward in faith is another step toward the freedom that comes when excuses are crushed and purpose is crowned, and your best self begins to emerge through the ashes of what used to hold you back. And no force on earth can stop the one who has decided to live fully, to act boldly, to build relentlessly, and to never again bow to the thief called procrastination, because victory belongs to the one who moves without excuse, and lives each day like the gift it was always meant to be. And now you walk in that fire, now you choose that life, now you make it your legacy, that you will never again wait for perfect when you are already equipped to begin. So now the time for delay is over, and the time for action is here. You've heard the truth, you've felt the pull, and now it's your moment to decide. Will you walk out of this place the same, or will you rise up with purpose in your heart and fire in your spirit? Leave behind the excuses, step into your calling, and live with the boldness you were born to carry. No more tomorrow, no more waiting. The future is calling, and it begins not someday but right now. Go and never look back. You are ready.